Alrighty, everybody. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. Good to see you guys here back for another update here. So, before we get on into everything, we actually have a little bit of a severe weather threat today, which we will be talking about more here in a moment once we get everybody that starts joining in here. But anyways, guys, hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful morning, and I hope you all have a great day ahead. So, we do actually have a level 1 threat for severe weather today. Here, let's hop over to this here. We're going to go ahead and bring up our day 1 convective outlook here. So, we do have a level 1 severe weather threat for today, and a pretty big thunderstorm, general risk for thunderstorms, across the southeast here overall. Now, severe weather potential for today includes central Alabama, out there including like Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, excuse me. We are in a level 1 threat here for severe weather, also including Gadsden, like I said, Birmingham, so Livingston, pretty much just north of Montgomery, where we do have a level 1 threat here. Now, over here by Mississippi, we also do have a level 1 threat across central Mississippi, a little bit of southeastern Arkansas, as well as northeastern Louisiana here, which is included. So, we definitely have a little bit of a severe weather threat here for today. I do want to go ahead and bring up our tornado risk here for today, because believe it or not, or thankfully I should say, we do not have a tornado risk here for today. So, we're not really going to be seeing anything, tornadic per se. It doesn't really seem like there's going to be enough wind shear to really allow for tornadic activity. So that's definitely good. But we do have a little bit of a threat here for just severe weather in general. Here, let me bring up my chat so I can see what y'all are writing. But anyways, so that's for tornadoes. In terms of damaging winds, we do actually not have a threat for damaging winds either. So today's threat's only going to be really a pretty decent little hail threat. So once again, central Alabama, portions of Mississippi, a little bit of extreme northeastern Louisiana, and southeastern Arkansas is included here for the risk here. Anyways, let me pull this up real quickly, you guys. I feel like there might be something going on. I don't know what's been going on with YouTube lately, but I really feel like there's something going on here with it. Here, let me pull this up real fast. Let's see here. Here, I'll just do this. That way, I wanted to make sure that everything is running good, because, yeah, YouTube's been being a little bit iffy lately. All right, we should be good now. We should be good. But anyways, yeah, so like I said, a little bit of a threat here for today, which will definitely keep you guys up to date. I don't know if we're going to do coverage or not on it later. We shall see. We shall see if we actually end up doing coverage here. But anyway, so let's bring up the models. We're going to take a look here at the timing of things here, because looking at things kind of like right and now, we do have a little bit of rain going on here. Here, first of all, let's bring up our current radar, which we'll pull up we'll do merge reflectivity here, and that way we can kind of see what is going on at the moment. So we'll go ahead and bring that up. So this is our current radar. We do have a lot of precipitation across the the Ohio Valley, moving in towards the Mid-Atlantic here. We do have a little bit of a little bit of rain falling out here by the Mid-Atlantic and stuff. But in the south, I mean, we do have a little bit of pop-up showers going on here. But as the day progresses, these little showers could turn into some storms. It honestly looks like we might be getting a little bit of convection starting up here in like northern Alabama, maybe a little bit of Mississippi here too. But anyways, as we go down in time, which we're going to bring up now, the models, as we work our way throughout this afternoon, going into the evening, you notice how we really start to pop up a lot of scattered cells here, a lot of multicellular storms, really popping off here. So that is what we're going to need to look out there for. And actually, according to the RRFS model here, once we approach this evening, this is showing 11 p.m. Eastern time. This does show a little bit of kind of like a little line developing here. Maybe some organized convection going on out there. Now, like I mentioned, the main concern today is going to be hail. They do not have a damaging wind threat today per se. It doesn't seem like damaging winds is going to be as much of a concern. So today's mostly, surprisingly, a little bit of a hail threat. What's up, Queen? Good to see you, my friend. Saying, hey, Andrew in chat. What's up? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good morning. But yeah, so basically, as we go into the afternoon, you can see that we'll see a bunch of scattered storms. Now, the threat for storms does extend, pretty far into the south here. You can see like areas of Georgia out by Atlanta could see some storms and stuff like that today too. But if we overlay the current risk here once again for severe weather today, you can see that the dark green, this is where that severe threat is. The light green, this is where we have potential for a couple of storms, but nothing severe is really expected out of them. So really, the severe risk area is in the dark green, and that's mostly for, like I mentioned, central Alabama, central Mississippi, which it seems like it's mostly going to be an evening threat. This is for 10 p.m. Eastern time, which would be 9 Central. And you can actually see how we do have a lot of convection popping off here. A lot of storm activity, possibly out by like the Tuscaloosa, Birmingham area, going up here just shy north of Jackson, Mississippi. But you can actually see, the storms do continue into, Georgia as well, and, into South Carolina. Let me actually grab a little sounding here for Georgia. I'm curious if they're going to ever extend the risk today, because I have a feeling they might. So there's a little bit of a capping inversion here, but, the model does show still some convection to the north here. Maybe that's farther south. I feel like if we go maybe a little north, the capping inversion will go away. Not as strong of a cap, but still an environment where storms theoretically could fire off in. Meanwhile, if we go over here towards like Mississippi, I'm going to grab another sounding here. This one is more thick of a storm per se. There is still a little bit of an inversion there. You can see, like if I zoom in towards the ground level, you notice how the temperature actually gets warmer as you go up in altitude. For typical, normal thunderstorm formation, you really want the temperature of the atmosphere to get colder the higher you go up. But temporarily here, just within the first 1,000 foot or so, or a couple thousand feet or so, essentially the temperatures are getting warmer slightly before getting colder. So that's important, because that could be a little bit hard for some convection to fire off. But if you have strong enough lift, in theory, we should be able to burst right through that. But models do show convection popping off here. It does show a couple of cells and stuff like that, which we'll need to look out for. But also, once again, not just for Mississippi, but also for Alabama, and even a little sliver, like we mentioned, of extreme southeastern Arkansas and extreme northeastern Louisiana here. So we'll definitely be on the lookout for today. I'll monitor the event later today. If things do get kind of crazy, where it requires coverage, then we'll be live for it. But otherwise, I do not plan to. We'll definitely be live here. Probably we'll do another live stream tonight just to kind of give you guys a little bit of an update on everything here too. So we'll be sure for that. Let's see here. Queen says, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share so everyone can stay weather aware. It's a free way to support Andrew and all his hard work. Stay safe, everyone. Much love. Well, thank you, Queen. I really appreciate that. It would be much appreciated. So thank you so much once again, Queen. But then the storms, actually, according to the RRFS, we'll actually compare this with the HRRR here in a minute, but the RRFS actually shows still some convection going on, maybe towards southern Alabama here for Friday morning, actually. Friday morning. Now, I doubt it would be anything severe at this point. I will grab a little sounding here right there in that inflow just to kind of get an idea of what environment it looks like. Still a little bit of instability, for sure. A decent amount of moisture, but there is a little bit of a capping inversion there. Interesting. Yeah, so we'll definitely just have to see how it goes. But then as we work our way into Friday, then areas like Florida could see some showers and some storms here. I'm really keeping an eye on Saturday though, for our folks up here in Florida. Because there's going to be a good potential that we could see some scattered storms. Even out here where I'm at, could see maybe a little bit of scattered storm activity here. Which I'm going to grab a little sounding out here in Polk County, right where I'm at, just to kind of see the environment here. Which it looks pretty darn unstable. And the one thing that really draws my attention, looking at our decape values here, this is 900 joules per kilogram. And the one thing I noticed is that on the ground level, our dew point and our temperature are really spaced out. This is, once again, what we call the dew point depression. the temperature difference between your dew point and your temperature. And the way you'd get that is you'd have your temperature minus the dew point. And that'll give you your dew point depression number, which, I mean, it seems to be pretty high. And what that also means is that the humidity would be lower the greater the dew point depression. So this is actually an enhancement for damaging winds, which could be a concern. I mean, given our decape values of 900 joules per kilogram and, dew point depression, stuff like that, I really think that I could be in an environment here for maybe some gusty winds. But that goes for our Central Florida folks here. So we might need to watch it on Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if they added maybe a marginal risk here to this. I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out. I do want to also compare this with the HRRR. We go a little bit further down into South Florida here too. It definitely seems like still a pretty good conditional, unstable environment here. I mean, we're talking like 1 to 2,000 joules per kilogram of instability. Mixed layer. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Anyways, let's see. Louise says, could South Carolina see some severe weather, could see some severe tonight because I noticed some unstable air in South Carolina, mainly central South Carolina. So as of now, the Storm Prediction Center does not have you in a severe risk for, severe storms, but we are in the general thunderstorm threat. We were actually just talking about that a minute ago, how, there could be even some storms over here by South Carolina, which, a few of them could be, probably pretty strong, but not expected to be severe here. From the way that I'm looking at this, I mean, it seems like the instability is fairly limited. I mean, there is an unstable environment here for storms, and our wind shear, isn't too bad. It could be worse. I really don't see much of a tornado threat, nor really a hail threat or a damaging wind threat. In this type of sounding. It just looks like a typical thunderstorm sounding here. So I really do not believe we'll be in the threat here for severe weather, but you can see, we go here to 11 p.m., later on this evening here. I'll grab another sounding over around this time. And, honestly, still the same thing. It just seems like a normal thunderstorm environment here, low decape, like I mentioned, basically almost the air is purely saturated towards the ground level, which, that would, between that and the low decape, wouldn't really give us too much of a damaging wind threat. Lapse rates aren't that steep. So, I don't think it's going to be much of a big threat out there by you. Yeah, you might get some storms, but I don't think they're going to be severe. Meanwhile, over here towards, Mississippi, if we were to grab a sounding here, one thing I'm noticing is that, the mid-levels are pretty dry, which could definitely support hail growth if we have instability, which we do, and a decent amount of cape. So we do have a decent amount, just a little environment here where we could see some type of hail production and stuff like that. So, I could see why this would be a marginal hail threat, which it is. But yeah, the stuff that's over east there, I really don't think it's going to be really much of anything big, so I wouldn't worry about it. Anyways, but yeah, so then, like I said, we go into Saturday, which I think Saturday could bring some good storms, by the afternoon, the evening here. It seems like we could be dealing with a decent amount of storm activity in Florida. Even showing some morning convection for late Friday and early Saturday, kind of out there north of Ocala for the most part. But we'll have to see. We'll have to keep an eye on it. But anyways, another thing I want to talk about, y'all, we actually mentioned this yesterday. There might be another winter storm on the way. Here, let's go ahead and remove everything here. I do want to bring up the GFS model for a moment. We'll compare this with the Euro here too. It's it's good to get a model comparison here. But as we approach March 1st, okay, the models have been in a little bit of a talk of maybe a bit of a winter system developing here. So this is for the evening of Sunday, March 1st. And you can see how, over by the Midwest, like Kansas, mostly Missouri, Central Plains in the Midwest here, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois. We do have maybe a little bit of snow developing here. Perhaps maybe even some freezing rain and sleet, becoming a problem as well. But we work our way over here into the early Monday morning. You can see that, now the GFS has this pretty thin But it does show maybe some snow, maybe some rain going on here for bits of like the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Southeast could be seeing some rainfall and stuff. And then ultimately ending up kind of out there by the Mid-Atlantic here for the afternoon, evening of Monday, and then it should be out pretty much by Tuesday. So that's what the GFS suggests. So I mean, it looks like it's been a little bit of a downgrade in the models since yesterday. I mean, we'll continue to watch it. We'll touch up on it later tonight as well. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it's not really anything super significant, but it could be something we need to look out for. Now, when comparing this with the Euro, the ECMWF model, you can actually see that the Euro is a little bit different. Actually showing the storm further up north latitude, as you can see. Showing the storm instead of like Missouri, mostly over like Iowa. So it is a lot higher up. And also a little bit more heavier snow, working its way through the Ohio Valley, maybe they're towards the Mid-Atlantic and stuff like that. So, we'll have to see. I mean, obviously, I don't want to go too far into models, but, also the Euro does show maybe after that little system, maybe another little system developing. I want to see if GFS shows that too. GFS actually does, believe it or not. It does show that other system, after that one system goes through the Mid-Atlantic, it actually shows a secondary system developing too. So that might even be something to look out for. But at that point in time, we're kind of pushing it a little bit in terms of realistically how far we can look out and stuff. But I mean, it looks decent. It looks like decent. I mean, obviously we have a good amount of support between the GFS and the Euro already. So I mean, that's a good sign. But it still needs to be monitored. That's just one thing I did want to bring up here with you guys. So between that, between the winter weather and a little bit of severe weather potential and stuff like that in the south, that's really the main things on the headline today that we'll keep an eye out there for. What's up, Ponderosa? Good to see ya. I do want to take a minute to go over some of these warnings, watches, and advisories. So Florida, actually Central Florida, we got some red flag warnings. So some wildfire conditions possible here for today. There's been a lot of fires going on in Florida, especially southern Florida. Let me pull up here, we'll bring this back up. We'll pull up the current satellite view and see if we can't even see any of these guys. So we'll do this. We'll do true color. So we should be able to kind of maybe see some fires going on. I know South Florida had a lot going on, although I'm not really seeing any right. Oh, hold on a minute. I think that might be one down there. Maybe. Actually, that might just be clouds. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Here, let me try geo color. Usually that kind of helps brighten things up a bit. But yeah, anyways, I do know there's been a lot of fires going on here. Let's actually backtrack. We'll go 24 hours in the past here. If we go out to yesterday, you'll be able to see that there's definitely some fires going on there. There you go. Yeah, definitely out there. Southwest Florida, out there by the Everglades, we had some fires going on out there. So and then of course we went further in time, and then now we're current time here. You can see that. Not, as of right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot, but the sun did just come up not too long ago. So, anyways, let's see. Queen says, I know the Northeast is waiting patiently for spring temps. Mother Nature keeps teasing us with a few 60-degree days sprinkled in mostly cold and snowy weather. Yeah, it's been really bipolar lately, hasn't it? It's like you just have these flashes of like, hot and cold. Like, I mean, even here where I'm at, there was February 1st, we had that really big cool down, which brought our temperatures in Central Florida down to 24 degrees, 24, 23 degrees. Really cold. And then, like, I was actually telling my mom this the other day. We had temperatures in the 90s, like the lower 90s. It's like, it's such a big, broad change in the temperatures and stuff. I mean, yeah, nature's not really too happy here. Anyways, let's hop back over here, back to the warnings, watches, and advisories. So over here by South Carolina, we have a little bit of lake wind advisories, which is interesting. See, southwest winds 10 to 15, gusts up to 35. So pretty interesting. We got a little bit of lake wind advice. I don't think I've ever really heard of those, to be honest with you. Lake wind advisories. Let's see, Kentucky, we got some special weather statements. Let's see, area of wet, dense snow resulting in light accumulations this morning. Really? Here, let's bring up our radar here, and we'll pull up our precipitation type. Oh, yeah, you can actually see it. Looks like it is snowing up over southern Ohio right now. Maybe northeast Kentucky. Got a little bit of stuff going on out there. Let's see here. We got some gale watches up in the Great Lakes region. Just some high wind stuff going on up there. Montana, we got a lot of high wind warnings in effect up here. See here. Winds 35 to 45 miles an hour, gusting to 65. So pretty good winds. Also, southeast Wyoming, got some high wind stuff going on. Also, some red flag warnings too. Low humidity, strong winds. Let's see here. Definitely really interesting. Other than that, I mean, we're kind of chilling. Let's see. Dense fog advisories over Central California. That's out there by Death Valley. Honestly, I mean, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense here. We could actually hop over to current sat view. The sun hasn't risen enough yet for California to really show its true colors, and really. But you can actually kind of see where the fog is. Where the blue is here. You can see that we do have a little bit of fog going on out there. So I mean that lines up pretty well. Definitely does line up pretty good with those dense fog advisories. And we have a little bit of winter weather advisories up in Washington State. Avalanche warning. What? Got an avalanche warning in West Montana. Hold up. Several feet of new snow, coupled with strong ridgetop winds, have created dangerous avalanche conditions. New snow will likely overlay. Excuse me. Will likely overload buried. Weak layers. Oh wow. Okay. So the strongs is or the wind. Strong winds is like the trigger of the avalanches. New snow, especially that white fluffy stuff. That'll really cause it. Anyways, but yeah, got an avalanche warning out there. That's for Sealy Lake area out by Clinton in western Montana. Really interesting. Anyways, but that's kind of what's going on there now. I just wanted to bring up the current watches, warnings, and advisories. Then, of course, looking at our sat view, satellite imagery this morning, got some really dense clouds, over the mid-Atlantic, bits of the southeast here. Definitely pretty cloudy. We actually have a little bit of fog over by eastern Texas and stuff too. So got some clouds and some fog. It looks like Florida's pretty clear for the most part. We do have a lot of clear conditions right now in the plains. Yeah, the plains and bits of the Midwest here seem to be pretty clear for the most part. Up here by the Ohio Valley, it looks to be pretty clear. The Great Lakes, some of the Great Lakes, lower Great Lakes, it seems to be pretty clear as well. Bits of the Northeast here too. You can actually see where the snow has fallen too. You can tell because, if we move it in time, you can see that the white that's on the ground doesn't move. That's all previous snow that's fallen here, which is definitely really interesting. Also, you can kind of see the frozen lake here too. You can see where it's actually frozen there. Seems like it's definitely melted a little bit since we had those really crazy cool, those cold blasts there. That was quite wild. You know what? You can actually see the ice move. Look at that. That's really cool. Yeah, you can see the ice moving under there. Really, really neat stuff. Anyways, Queen says, "Thank you, Andrew, for keeping us up to date with the weather. Much appreciated." Of course, no problem. Stay safe, everyone. Have a wonderful day. You too, Queen. Thanks for joining, my friend. I appreciate it. Anyways, but that's pretty much what's going on here, y'all. So basically today we just got to look out for, that severe weather threat, which I'll go over there. We'll go back over it real quickly. So today we do have, like I mentioned, a marginal risk here for severe weather. So a little bit of a severe weather threat here for central Mississippi, central Alabama, southeastern Arkansas, extreme southeastern Arkansas, and extreme northeastern Louisiana here. So we got to keep an eye out there for a little bit of severe weather. There's good news, though. It's not related to tornadoes, and not even related to damaging winds either. But in terms of hail, we do have a little hail threat here for today. That's going to be the main concern for storms today. I do want to keep an eye on it. I mean, we'll just see how the event pops off, and how things actually kick off later on this afternoon and evening. It shows really this evening kind of like the main part of the event, the later evening. So we'll have to see, if things do look to be pretty crazy, whenever whenever I observe it, then I'll probably go live for you guys. But if it's just nothing really too crazy, then I probably wouldn't stream it. But I'm going to go live again later tonight anyways, so we'll just touch up on it, and we'll see how things go. But Just so once again, Central Mississippi, Central Alabama. Just know we got a little bit of a threat out here overall. But anyways. Well, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and throw them down in the chat. I'll be more than happy to help. But if not, then we'll probably call it a stream here. Not a whole lot to report on today. Just a little bit of a severe weather threat. Like I mentioned, we'll keep an eye out there for winter weather here for the beginning of March. Got a little bit of a system we're keeping an eye on, but we'll definitely keep you guys up to date. But alrighty, everybody. Well, if y'all are new here, consider subscribing. It'll be much appreciated. What's up, Free Thinking? Good to see ya. Saying, how am I looking, Andrew? All right, so honestly, you're looking pretty okay. We do have a general thunderstorm threat out there by you. So we do have a potential for a couple booms of thunder. Nothing too crazy per se. But yeah, we do have a little bit of a threat here for maybe a couple of storms, but yeah, nothing severe. The severe threat's further west of you, more for central Alabama, central Mississippi. But it just seems like the storms we get today are just going to be normal thunderstorms. It doesn't really seem like the environment's going to be really capable or really supportive, I should say, of damaging characteristics. In terms of hail, in terms of gusty winds, and in terms, of course, of tornadoes not being a concern. So I'll even grab a sounding for you. Actually, we were just looking over there a little bit ago. So this is we're going to pull up the RRFS model here. So we go down in time, and you can see, throughout today, we could have a couple of scattered storms here, but and maybe even a little bit of a line rolling through early tomorrow morning. This is showing, Friday morning, maybe a little bit of a line rolling through. But, generally speaking here, I mean, if I was to grab we'll just grab a sounding here. This is for 7 p.m. Today. Just to kind of see what the environment looks like. I mean, it seems like we have, low decape, relatively saturated lower levels. I don't think we're going to have too much of a damaging wind threat, or really any damaging wind threat here, kind of the sounding like this. Our wind shear, lower levels are pretty weak for the most part. So, that really kind of throws off our tornado potential. I don't think we're going to have much of it, or really any of a tornado concern today. Once again, just kind of a typical little, setup here for just maybe a couple of storms. But anyways, but yeah, bottom line, nothing too crazy. A couple scattered storms today, maybe a line of storms rolling through, tomorrow morning, and then that should be it. I do want to compare that though with the HRRR. We were going to do that earlier, but I kind of forgot. So let's hop over here to the 12 Zulu HRRR. Honestly, kind of showing a similar scenario here. Throughout this afternoon, mostly this evening, we do have a bunch of scattered storms, and then that line kind of develops here, which is definitely interesting. You can see that for the main severe weather threat, we have a bunch of scattered convection throughout the afternoon. It's not really till evening, though. Yeah, this is showing like 6, 7, 8 o'clock or so Eastern time. When we could really start to see some of these storms popping off here, which I'm going to grab a sounding right in the middle of that marginal there, just to kind of see what the environment looks like. So, honestly, this is a pretty good little environment, though. Some pretty decent lapse rates here. Some pretty steep rates of which temperature drops over altitude. Good amounts of moisture. Look at that, mid-60 dew points. Great surface moisture. Good amount of instability here. We're talking a decent amount, actually. Pretty decent top storms. The EL, which is the equilibrium level, the point at which the rising air's temperature meets the temperature of the surrounding air around it, basically stopping that rising air from moving upwards. That's where it would stop. But anyway, so that tells us that, these could be some pretty decent storms. Possibly a good 10 to 11 kilometers high. But yeah, decent little environment here. We do got a little bit of dry air, maybe mixing in our lower levels, which could be a little bit of a hail supporter, of course. Yeah, this type of event really just screams kind of hail over. So, anyways, but yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Like I said, we'll monitor this later today, and we'll see what happens. HRRR starts off, multicellular for the most part. Kind of a bunch of just scattered storms, and then it just kind of develops into a bit of a line here. And you can see that line really just working its way through the south here. Anyways. Ponderosa says, what's the tornado risk? There is no tornado risk today, so we're good. Free Thinking says, thank you. You're very welcome. Very, very welcome. But yeah, no, there is no tornado risk today. The kinematics are just too weak for it. Let me actually bring up our lower level winds here. We'll do that. Let's bring up our, let's see, wind shear. Actually, upper air is what we need to look at. We'll do 850 millibar wind speeds here. So this will show us our lower level winds. They really shouldn't exceed anything too crazy. Yeah, really not much of anything really tornadic concerning. Typically for tornadoes, you'd really want those lower level winds to be pretty much moving from the south to the north. Kind of in this pattern. But the lower level winds in this case are moving from west to east. You really want winds flowing north. Really supplying a lot of moisture and stuff like that. Just it's really good for the inflow of tornadic activity, which typically you'd have the straight up northerlies, or the southerlies. Winds coming from the south going to the north, basically. But yeah, in this case, they're going from west to east, which is not really the best. But not to mention, the wind values are even pretty weak too. I mean, we're talking maybe 20 knots at most for the most part. Yeah, really not much of a tornado-prone environment here. So I don't expect to see any tornadic activity today. Now, if we compare this with mid-level shear, though, if we bring up here, let's do upper air. We'll do 500 millibar winds. We'll compare that. So our mid-level shear is definitely stronger, but you can see it's mostly flowing in the same direction too. There's not much veering going on. It's mostly just straight flow. And basically, which we're seeing a good 50 knots or so, which is decent for mid-level shear. Anyways, but yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on here. I mean, like I said, we'll keep an eye out there for the risk here for today. I mean, like I said, if we do end up going live, I mean, obviously we'll do that, and make sure y'all have those notifications turned on. That way, if we do go live, you do get notified. But yeah, we'll just keep an eye on how things go out, how things play out this afternoon and evening, really. Like I said, I do plan on streaming regardless this evening, just to kind of give you guys another update on everything. And then we'll take a look at everything, and so we'll see. But alrighty, everybody. Well, thank you all so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, it'd be much appreciated. And if you are new to the channel, first of all, welcome. I really appreciate y'all being here. But all right, everybody. Well, thank you all for stopping by. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And alrighty, y'all. We'll see you guys here in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.